If you are an active duty service member ready to transition out of the military, a loving spouse seeking support and resources on how to cope with PTSD, or maybe a military brat ready to take the next steps to join the Air Force, or a veteran wanting to connect with others through shared experiences, then this is the right podcast for you. My name is Laura Figures, and this is the Freedom Isn't Free podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Laura Figures. First, thank you for joining me each and every single week as we continue to bring you inspiring stories or resources that address is freedom free. For the month of March, in celebrating a Women's History Month, we wanted to highlight a few women that are movers and shakers in their industry. Today, our guest created a brand, She Vets It, to support veteran women across all branches of the military and to collaborate with resources in support of women veterans' needs. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Althea Williams. Hey, Althea, thank you for joining me. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your military experience.
Wow, I'm a little different than your regular battle buddies. I was turning 39. I had already had a career before joining the military. So that kind of makes me my viewpoint is a little different than if I joined turning 18. Matter of fact, I had a son that joined the military a few years before I even considered joining the military. And I joined during the recession. So that there was an influx of professionals that joined when the economy was a little crazy. I was actually in the Army. I went in as an aviation operations specialist. So during that time, I've deployed to Afghanistan. That's where I lost quite a few battle buddies. Actually, I lost battle buddies in and out of the battlefield. I'm a TBI and PTSD survivor.
So tell us a little bit about your PTSD, and because you kind of touched on it, and I really want to highlight and have people understand that, PTSD is not only just military related, it is really related to you experiencing something very traumatic that also now has caused these episodes and these triggers and anxiety that happen. So explain a little bit about your PTSD.
Well, I really didn't know I had PTSD until like maybe 4 years ago. I knew my family probably knew, they just didn't know a name to it, but they were like, something's different. But what happened is when I first joined, I was in AIT. I lost a battle buddy. I was in the 4th platoon. And what happened was he fell over in the lake on Memorial Day. My sergeant, drill sergeant, because I was the 4th platoon guide, had me go and help to go through his belongings. And I knew him personally too. And I knew his fiance that he proposed to that evening. I had to go through his belongings, read his family's letters, make sure he wasn't suicidal or anything like that. And then because I was 4th platoon guide and he was part of my platoon, I also did CQ at the morgue. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way for those who don't know what CQ is kind of like office duty. Maybe you're there for 24 hours at that location. So as we always say, never leave a battle buddy behind. So because he was there his body was there for 3 days, we wanted to make sure we did CQ until his body was sent off to his family. Now I experienced that way before I even got to combat. And then also I was supposed to be in AIT for, I want to say a couple of, it was only supposed to be 8 weeks or something like that. I ended up being there almost a year because there was an influx of background checks and to get your clearance and so forth. And they just had a influx of large numbers of people they had to go through. So I kind of was on that wait list to get processed. So I went through that. So I'm away from my family for a year. So I think that and the trauma and all that, I didn't realize how much toll that was taking on me. And then having people want to commit suicide in AIT. So it was just a lot of things that I didn't realize that I was going through, even the family challenges with that, being away from family and such. So by the time I got to my first duty station, I think probably with less than a year, I was already heading to Afghanistan. Maybe like 2 weeks in, I got news that my grandfather passed. So I couldn't go see him. And then maybe 3 months later, the first aircraft went down. Then 5 days later, another aircraft went down. Then I don't remember what, but we had me and my battle buddy, we were where were we going? We were going to the DFAC, and one of the master sergeant, I guess he was exercising, had a heart attack. So that we were walking by the EMT, they're working on him. He passed away. So it was just like constantly lost. And then my daughter, it was the year she was going to graduate from high school. I wasn't able to be there. And her close friend passed away. So it was a lot of things going on at home that I wasn't able to be there for. And oof, it's getting me a little choked up, but I'm doing good because usually it's a little
emotional. It's very emotional to talk about death. And for you, I mean, you say you went in at 39. So just imagine at 39, you are very well aware of your person, of who you are. Yes. And for all of this, trauma of death to happen around you, I know you probably were like, what is going on? Like, why is this happening? And that probably, was part of your experience, going through PTSD of having these deaths happen.
And I didn't know that it was going on because, in 9 months we had, rocket attacks every other night, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, there's rocket attacks. And you're like, oh man, there's another one. And then we had Be on the Lookout, where we had Iraqi went in and shot up some people in the tower. So we're on guard in our office because whoever's going out there to take care of them, we had to be on the lookout. So there was a lot of stuff going on. There's just tons of things going on that I didn't realize because I started writing down and didn't realize, oh my gosh, no wonder I was having things going on. And then when I got back, my rotation unit, the ones that I had to bring into theater, because when people come in to theater, I was like the one that you check in with. So replacement aircraft went down of the replacement that I had the opportunity to meet. So that was in December after I got back. But here's the thing that I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong when I came home and I was going to go to church. I ended up having a panic attack. I was like, why am I having a panic attack?
So you knew you were having a panic attack, but you didn't know what triggered it?
I didn't even know it was a panic attack.
Okay.
Until I started going to counseling, and then I realized that was actually a panic attack. I couldn't breathe. Then I was getting vertical. Like it was just a lot of different things that were going. It started triggering me physically. I would wake up, I can't breathe. I was having nightmares and different things like that. But what made it a little different, I think, is because I had a dream before one of the aircrafts went down. I had a dream about it. And that is what made it even harder on me because I didn't understand the dream. And I think I told my first sergeant, you know what, I had a dream about it. And he looked at me crazy. So from that point, when I was on there, I was just having these different dreams. And I think it just heightened my PTSD because when you have a dream of something that you can't control, and I know it sounds really weird. So it was just really, really, really interesting. But like I said, when I went home and having the panic attacks, my sergeant gave me a dog. Sergeant Moore gave me a little Chihuahua, and my family was like, "Oh, something's wrong with you." But the more they would say that, I put my wall up, and I didn't want to talk to him. Like, no, I'm not telling them anything because I felt different. And the more they did that, the more I wanted to be just around my military friends because I felt like I didn't have to explain anything to them. They already understood and they didn't judge me. So the more that happened, so then as time progressed, I kind of start separating myself from my family. When before I went to before I went to Afghanistan, I was like, oh, when I get back, if I make it back, my bucket list is to go to see my mom and see everybody in California, here, there, there. When I came back, I had 30 days leave. I didn't want to go see nobody. And then it's only been a couple of years that I found out like my brother was divorced. I'm like, how is it that I did not know he was divorced? But it was so that just told you how disconnected I was from my family. And so when I went through counseling, she was saying, so my plan was, okay, every Sunday, I'm going to check in with somebody I haven't talked to. I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to call my brother. I'm going to make an effort. Because even when they were calling me, I was just really short. Like, hey, how are you? And okay,
Everything's good. Bye. I'm
yeah,
great.
yeah, and I just didn't put too much energy in it. But it was too what I found and discovered through counseling was the reason why I was doing that because I lost so many people at such a short period of time, and it hurt. And these were people I knew and I worked with, but they weren't like my family, my immediate family. So I knew that if I separated myself from people, and especially the ones that I love, I wouldn't hurt as bad if something happens to them. But what I did learn this year, I had a battle buddy that a good military friend that just passed 2 months ago, and I did just that. I separated myself from that individual, and when he passed, it really hurt me. Really, like I couldn't get out the bed for a week. Where I thought I was improving in certain areas, it was just a push to get up, to work out, to do anything, self-care, all that. It's just been a really, really a push. And what I learned from that is separating myself from my family and my friends will not improve how I feel if they're no longer here. So that's something that I've learned recently. I thought it worked, but it doesn't work. It makes it worse because then you think of I should have, could have, and why didn't I?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's amazing how um folks don't really understand how therapy and counseling and you going through the process of trying to figure out your triggers, it is something that you're going to have to battle with for a long time, I think, for the rest of your life. Because I do suffer from PTSD also, and I do know there are things that trigger me. And so I know when it triggers me what I need to do, but it's being very conscious on, okay, this just happened. This is what I need to do in order to process this correctly. And I applaud you, Althea, for identifying, okay, this just happened. This is what I need to do. And oh, I didn't do it right, but I'm going to get it right the next time. Because none of us are perfect, and we all make mistakes. But it's the fact that you're trying is what I commend you for.
Thank
Uh,
you. What I learned too is that going to counseling and doing the work, it doesn't guarantee that you'll always have things work out. It's going to always be a challenge. Like I shared in one of the rooms that I was in one day was God and my therapist is not done with me yet. So I say that, and I was just sharing with someone yesterday, is that doing the work and like I've learned like boundaries, setting boundaries with people, with family, because family usually there's no boundaries. They will cross all the lines, because they're used to it. But when I came back, I was like, with my TBI, the traumatic brain injury, my threshold for stress is lower than normal. What you can tolerate at 100%, I'm probably at 60 and I get overwhelmed easily. So people that are dramatic, toxic, I had to cut people off because those are my triggers. And when I get triggered, then I have the memory issues gets enhanced. My sleep gets worse. Things just get a little more chaotic for me. And I'm like, Althea, self-love, what I've learned too, you got to put you first because everybody's going to put them first. So you need to take care of yourself. You need to be able to say no. You need to set boundaries with people, tell them what you will and will not tolerate. That's even with your mom. Like, Mom, I don't care what Aunt Sue is doing. That's not my business. Please don't come with me with Aunt Sue stuff, just the things that me and you have going on. That's it.
Yeah.
So I had to do that and I wasn't used to that. And I had to get used to people being upset because I was setting boundaries. Because they said people that get upset about boundaries are usually the ones that were benefiting from you because you had none. So I said, you know what? I started, like I said, I started setting those boundaries. It doesn't mean that I won't have rough days, but me practicing some of the things that my counselor, and over the 7 years I've been going to counseling, it just ensures that it doesn't mean that it won't knock me down, but it won't knock me out.
Absolutely.
It'll knock me down. Like,
Yeah.
I was down a month ago. I didn't want to get out the bed.
We all have our moments. We all have our moments.
Exactly. But like I said, I bounced back. It didn't take me out. And I'm using my trauma for my purpose. And that's where we're talking about me starting She Vets It.
Yeah, go ahead. Jump into it. Explain to my listeners.
Oh my goodness. So 2017, I was going through counseling for 8 weeks, like an in-depth counseling with other women veterans that were going through. And for 8 weeks, from 8 hours, like every day, we talked about from childhood all the way to the present. I mean, we cried every single day. Like, I'm getting chills thinking about it. But every day, in that bond that we created together was so awesome. I knew that I was getting out the military, and I'm like, oh Lord, I'm getting out this military and my friends are not going to be able to relate to me like my battle buddies. And these are women that I didn't serve with, but we got it. Like, we understood each other. Like, we could get together, and you're in the Navy, girl, hey, it's things without saying that we know we've gone through something. Just being a woman veteran, you've gone through something. It may not be MST or anything, but you've gone through something during your military experience, and you possibly lost battle buddies. So I was like, I want to create something that will help build camaraderie. So I started off in DC. I was only 15, it was just 15 of us. We just meet for, maybe we'll go out to lunch, watch a movie, just meet up once a month, just to get together, just to kind of build a bond and just have someone to really like, hey, I can call. And so, matter of fact, we even 5 of us went to South Africa together. So then I think maybe, and I started that group like after my 8-week program. I started that group right after, because I was like, I need to continue.
You needed more of it. You wanted
more of it. More. Now, I didn't want to talk about the sad stuff, but I love the camaraderie and the closeness that we built. So then I think maybe 6 months later, I was about to get out. I received my DD-214. And this actor contacted me, his media consultant contacted me, and he was like, we'd like to invite your group out to the Kennedy Center in DC. And I'm like, okay, it's just a meetup group, but okay. So I went out there, and his name is Patrick Kilpatrick. He has a book that he had out about his experience in Hollywood, and he's a very he's really supportive of the veteran community, his family, his background, and he's from the DC area. So he just said, anytime you need anything, let us know. And proceeds of his book went to wounded warriors.
That's amazing.
So I was like, oh my gosh. So I was like, God, are you trying to tell me something?
Yes, he was.
Yes. And then a couple of months later, then I had a PBS in my inbox saying, hey, we want to do some things on OEF soldiers, and we would love to speak with some of your members. And then I'm like, okay, this is turning into something that I didn't see, but okay. So then I just kept going, and then I had an Instagram presence. And so I just started disseminating information, relevant information for women veterans. It could be for male veterans, about anything that had to do with mental health, um, places that will do therapy and things like that, anything for transitioning. So after a while, I started putting that information out there, and then I had organizations inboxing me, hey, can you disseminate this information? So I just started. So you'll see on my one page, Veteran Women Rock, that one, you'll see a lot of resource posts on there, and then She Vets It, you'll see, the same thing. But She Vets It is actually on Clubhouse now, so we're even more interactive. We're on Facebook, and on Facebook as She Vets It, but we also have area groups, and that is Texas, Georgia, DC, Florida, Arizona. And one thing about that, those are the key areas where we're the highest population for homelessness. So this evolved into me wanting to bridge the gap between our veteran community, the women, and make sure that we have each other's six. So on Clubhouse, I use it as an opportunity to a place where we can converse, collaborate, and connect. But most importantly, it's a it's a safe space where we can feel valued, heard, and respected. And I'm very, very, very sensitive about that. So if anybody's in a group and they don't respect someone's voice, I'm quick to like eject, because that's the culture. Is we go through too much to have someone come in and do anything else but not hear us and not value our voice. Because right now, we're kind of like out of sight, out of mind to a lot of people. And so I definitely feel that it's a space where we can come together. Right now, we're approaching 700. So, I mean,
700 members?
yes, 700 members.
Wow.
And we only been up we haven't even been a full month yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
700 members. That
Yes,
is
yes.
awesome, Althea.
Yes. So in between, like almost between my two groups on Instagram is 2,000. Now I know it's not a lot when you think of viral, when
Of
people viral.
course, but no, for starting out, that's a lot. That's good.
So I was thinking to grab all of us in one spot. I was like, just to have that many people in one place. In Clubhouse, I've touched each person that's probably have joined. Most of them I touched because they've been in a room, or I've been in a room with them. So that's even different. That's
Yeah.
definitely different.
Talk a little bit about your experience on Clubhouse and like the different things that you do on the different days, like Wellness Wednesdays, things of that sort.
Okay. So once you get a club on Clubhouse, I want to be intentional in what I was doing and how I was using that platform. And I said, okay, I just didn't want a group where we all just come together and we talk about anything. So I wanted to guide the conversation and guide us into areas that I know that were areas of concern for women veterans. So I know Wednesday is like mental health. That's my passion. Mental health and wellness is my passion, because I know as a PTSD survivor and a TBI survivor, mental health is key. Nutrition, exercising, and all that is very important. So Wednesday, I have a registered yoga meditation teacher, Jennifer Balu. She actually does meditation on Wednesday. She's 9 o'clock Eastern time, and she does it about 15 minutes. And then at 10 Eastern time, I have Shannon Claxton. She is Mocha Yoga. She does mindfulness journaling. So last week we talked about pleasure. And pleasure, you're like, okay, pleasure, people think of sex. Well, there's more to life than just that, but there's other things that can bring us pleasure, such as what brings you joy, happiness, peace. So we had to jot down all those things, like what brings me pleasure. Well, I love going out into nature and taking pictures, and I love flowers and those different things. So then it made me start thinking when I was journaling myself was like, oh, what are those things? So I'm like, when I'm feeling down, I can go and get me some flowers, buy myself flowers. So it was like it helped us, the ladies and myself, kind of create a wellness bag where we can pull from when we're having downtime. So I've had women that inbox me and said, thank you so much. I've been going through some dark times, and I think this room is going to be very helpful. So then I have another room where we talk about breaking the stigma behind mental health. So it's not just talking about the problems, but a lot of about mental health and things like that, but bringing awareness. And then we also talk about what are some tips that help us dealing with our mental health, like setting boundaries, self-care and things like that. But I also try to seek out moderators that have expertise in the background, psychotherapists or someone who has a background, because I'm not an expert in any of these areas. So I seek out moderators that have strong backgrounds in those areas. On Tuesday, we have Boots to Business, and that's just an open dialogue of women veterans who are trying to start their business or have started their business. And we share tips. We may have different speakers that come on and share tips and things like that. We had who did we have recent? April Holland. She works for the Small Business Development Center, and her company name is Ready to Start. And she shared some tips on how to get certified as a disabled veteran if you want to get a government contract. So we do a lot of things like that. And I have someone that's going to be talking about starting a nonprofit on Friday.
Ooh, I'm going to be there out there for that one.
Yes, and he's really good. So my thing is, I just consider myself a connector or a wisdom broker. So I just find people that can feel the need for us as women veterans, and I just place them together. Like Monday, we have been just last night, awesome group that's ran by Monica Bijot and LaShawn Majid, and they actually did a room under She Vets It, and it was being a black woman in the military and emotional trauma. And Monica is she has a therapist background, so she was able to lead that conversation, and women were just so transparent and sharing their experience. So we do that. We kind of address those different areas. And like I said, I bring people that have the know. And then in some situations, even Boots to Business, a lot of the information, I always say, do your research.
Absolutely.
Do your research, because I'm not an expert. We may have sometimes experts. We might just be in a place where we're just sharing opinions. I always say, check your facts. Check professional. If we're talking about finance, fact check on that. Still see your accountant, still see your attorney. So even if we give you information, we're sharing information for information purposes, but it's a starter for you to get out of the group, out of the room, and go seek that attorney to help you get things going, or seek that accountant so that you can push your business to the next level. So that's kind of what we do.
So you spoke a little bit about women, homelessness, and that's kind of like, close and near and dear to my heart. I've supported the DC VA hospital with, donating some coats for their winter drive that they have annually. And the one thing that they ask for is, Lord, can you guys really focus on getting coats for women? And that's what they lack. And when she said that, I was like, well, there must be a lot of women veterans. And then when you spoke of it, Althea, I'm like, wow, this is now becoming an issue that, we definitely need to address, that there are a lot of women veterans that are homeless right now. Can you share a little bit about your thoughts about women veterans?
Yes, I was reading and I was like, oh my gosh, I was just so surprised. So there's like they said there's like 2 million of us, and we're the fastest segment of the homeless population. And we're growing by 7%, where the male population is 1%. They say we're pretty much like out of sight, out of mind. So, and some of the reason why we're homeless is unemployment. And they say that it takes us 3 months longer than our male counterparts to find a job once we get out the military, which means it's very important for us to start prepping way
Way
ahead.
before, yes, way
Don't wait till
before.
you get out. You need to be getting that resume together. And leadership in the military needs to be prepping their younger soldiers for that if they know they're getting out. And then also we also when we do get the job where our income is lower than our male counterparts, but that's has been an issue just being a woman, period.
Yep. Hmm.
So but you just compound it with being a veteran, and whatever we may have came out with, maybe we've had some mental health issues that we're dealing with, and not everyone that get out the military have VA benefits. So that's
Wow.
why homelessness is a big deal, because not everyone that get out of the military have VA benefits or any supplement benefits or health care to help them. Um, and a lot of times women that do have some issues, mental health issues, they may not necessarily, they may have not always had it reported, like MST and things like that. And they said MST is actually you have I think 400 times likely to be homeless if you experience MST. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And what else I was saying? Oh, domestic violence and single parenthood, a single parent home. And it's they said it's usually complicated by the lack of childcare. So, and a lot of times women will not won't report that they're homeless because of fear of losing their kids. So they'll, what they say, couch surf. They'll, maybe stay with someone, but a lot of times they won't, you know, they won't share that they're homeless for the sake of not losing their kids. But financial stability is one of the keys. So that's why I'll have a room and find a financial expert to come and talk about finance and how we can finance, how we can manage our personal finances, creating independence. Financial independence is being able to manage our money and even invest our money. So I've brought in someone who to moderate a room on investment, because it was actually a captain that went to Afghanistan with me, and he was sharing his story how another military person, was showing how he was investing his money, and while they were in Afghanistan, he invested his money and made like almost $200,000. Like, and if you've been doing Bitcoin, like in the early years, you're probably doing a little good right now. So it was just different things that women are not always in the know of. So I said, well, you know what? Educating them in those different areas that will narrow the gap in homelessness. And then also with the group, creating that support system where we have each other's back. So if I meet you on Clubhouse and you're like, yeah, I'm trying to start my business, I'm about to get out the military, whatever. And we can help each other in that area where, like, hey, I found out this information, you can do this, or you can, there's this resource out there. So that's pretty much.
Yeah, I definitely would like to connect with you, Althea, on putting a campaign together to support, women veterans that are homeless. Because I definitely want to, you know, draw attention to this issue. Because if it's not addressed, or if we're not trying to combat this, it will increase. And I feel like, we should highlight this and have serious conversations, very focused conversations on, what are some of the things that we can do to help combat this. So I definitely would love to start something with you, and maybe it's on Clubhouse. Maybe it's
Oh,
it's
yes.
us having, a conversation on Clubhouse about it, because it's really something that should be talked about. And as a group, I think Clubhouse is a great app for us to come in, network, and have conversations, and bring people in. Remember, Athea, you are the connector. So to
Oh,
bring people in to have these purposeful conversations about how to eradicate this. So
yes, definitely. I would love to work with you on that. And you know, I shared, I think a while back, is that I'm definitely interested in collaborating on the coat project because I have some coats I was sharing with you. I got some coats I need to get rid of. So I definitely, and you know, if nothing else, I definitely would put some coats in my trunk. So whenever I'm out and about, coats
yes,
that I know I don't need just because like I said, I always get these little bags from 99-cent store where you can put it on your back and put some hand sanitizer, hand warmers, socks, gloves. I'll put those little things in there and I'll like pack them up and I'll have like at least 10 of them in my bag. So if I went to the store, if I went somewhere and I see someone randomly there that may look homeless, I'll give them. And I think me and my daughter had to do that maybe a month ago. A lady was outside of a thrift store, and I said, well, I asked her what size. She said she needed some things, and I asked her what size she wore. So me and my daughter went in and got her some things because we were going to check out this thrift store ourselves. So I was like, okay, well, what size do you wear? So we went out there, got her what she needed. So it's just really about just being there. And my main existence is not just for me. You know, we're here for a purpose, and I just feel like if my purpose, I know my purpose may not be to be able to do everything, but my purpose is to connect people that can. So that's what I look at. I said, okay, I may not be able to work in the same capacity like I used to because of my disabilities, but I can use my skill set, my ability to connect people. I can use the connections that I already have built over the years to actually build a community. And I was sharing with someone yesterday, what I did outside the military was great, but what I've been able to do is serve my country has been more rewarding than anything that I could possibly done. So I know that I've experienced trauma, but now it has led me to what my real purpose is, and that is to the women veteran community.
so Althea, what's some ways people can keep in contact with you?
Okay, you can join me on Instagram under She Vets It. We have a platform also on Facebook and also Clubhouse. We have a club. It's called She Vets It, and you can join. And if you know other veteran women that would love to be part of She Vets It, there's a area there where you can nominate your friends. You can nominate them from who's already on Clubhouse, or you can nominate them from your contact.
How are you celebrating the month of March for Women's History Month?
So we'll be celebrating Women's History Month, but we're going to be doing it a little different. We're doing it the military edition. And so every Monday, we started yesterday, we will highlight the trailblazers that made a way for women veterans. So we will highlight Army, Marine, Air Force, Coast Guard, all the branches of the military. And we will just, it's only like maybe 20 or 30 minutes of your time. We'll just give some information, and we will celebrate. If you're Navy, yesterday we celebrated Navy. So anyone in the audience that was Navy, we just kind of highlighted them and thanked them for their service. But also we will be part of, on March 8th, we'll be part of a clubhouse crawl, and that's with women in business. They're like one of the largest clubs on Clubhouse. So we will actually be sharing a space with them. They're going to be doing it Monday, again, March 8th, 9 o'clock in the morning to 7 p.m. And they're going to be power hour rooms hosted by the Women's Club. So I actually was invited to actually be on a panel of other Clubhouse founders, and I will be moderating for mental health and wellness. So I'll be covering that area. And so I'm excited because that's a topic that's near and dear to me.
Yes, it is.
So, yes, and I'm passionate about it because it is part of my life, and it's part of it should be part of self-care and mental health and wellness. That should be everyone's go-to topic. So I'm excited.
Well, thank you, Althea, so much. Thank you for being the connector that you are. I appreciate you for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me.
For those of you that are listening, as always, don't forget to thank a veteran for their service. Again, I'm your host, Laura Figures. Let's connect next week. I love hearing from you, my listeners, military heroes, spouses, veterans. Let me know. And while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. This helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us provide a voice for our service members, it makes a difference by leaving a review. And remember to thank a veteran